It's 400 yards, so that means we're going to dial 3 MOA, or 3 mil. All right, one more. Nice shooter. Ruger American Gen 2 308, trying the Hornady ammunition here. This is the Hornady Custom 308 Win, 150 grain SST factory ammunition here. Second target from the left center red circle. So one flyer there, probably a 2-inch group, not great. All right, folks, now we're gonna try the Hornady match. This is the 308 168 grain BTHP, or boat tail hollow point ammunition. Second target from the right upper left circle. Zero's a little off, but let's see how she groups. Pretty bad. Once again, 2 right on top of each other almost, and then 1 flyer. Could be the action screws need to be tightened. Could be the barrel's hot. All right, folks, here we are testing the Weatherby Vanguard Synthetic and 300 Weatherby at 400 yards here. Guessing dope today. Didn't have time to run any computing on that, but we'll see what happens. Shooting this little oval target here. First round hit, we'll take that. Okay, we are gonna shoot Ruger Gen 2 at 200 yards, 300, and then we'll go 4. We'll just go 1.5 MOA for 200. Just that parallax, the middle gong there. All right, first round hit. Velocity on that, 27.55 again. All right, 300 yards, Ruger American Gen 2. We're gonna go 4 MOA. 150 grain SSTs are flying good out of this gun. We'll go on the circle all the way to the left. First round hit. Velocity on that was 27.50. All right, 400 yards, Ruger American Gen 2. I'm actually guessing holdover. Hitting them though. A little bit high, right? Shooting low. It's probably just the 0 settling in. Not bad. I think I flinched the last one. It's about MOA and a half. Howdy there, folks, and welcome back to Bullets for Bucks. My name's Steven, and today we're going to compare the Ruger American Gen 2 Standard against the Weatherby Vanguard bolt-action rifle. Now, I do have the Weatherby Vanguard Camilla Wilderness as the example here today, but we're going to be comparing it against the specifications of the Weatherby Vanguard Synthetic in 308 so that we can get a more apples to apples comparison. Now, starting with the Ruger American Gen 2, we have a very nice, about 1-inch thick angular recoil pad with some basically cuts in it that are triangular in shape, very soft rubber. And on the Vanguard synthetic stock, you have about a 1-inch thick, a little bit heavier or harder rubber recoil pad. On the Ruger American, we have removable synthetic spacers so you can adjust the length of pull. We have this nice built-in comb rise here, and then we have a recessed sling swivel stud. On the S2 stock, which is different than this Camilla Wilderness stock, this is like a fiberglass resin stock. You have a Monte Carlo Grip-Tonite stock that is synthetic and is the Monte Carlo traditional style. So it is similar in style to this stock, but I do have a bag on here, so it's a little bit hard to see. Nothing super remarkable. It has a rear sling swivel stud that's metal, but it's not recessed, and it doesn't have adjustable length of pull spacers like the Ruger American Gen 2. Then Coming forward on the Ruger American, you have this pretty traditional style grip here, some like grooves cut into it, some texturing, and this has got a splatter coat paint job in it that is quite grippy actually. And this is fiber reinforced polymer. On the S2 synthetic, you have a similar style grip, a little bit cheaper feeling stock in my opinion, a little bit more like not as grippy and just kind of hollow sounding at the rear. Coming forward, this is where things get interesting. So the Weatherby Vanguard is essentially the Howa rifle made in Japan. Now, it's pronounced Hoa in Japan, but when in Rome, do as the Romans do, I guess you could say. So I'm going to say Howa. It features a 90-degree bolt throw on the Vanguard. It has a knurled traditional style bolt knob. Hopefully you can kind of see that there. A little push tab bolt release on the left side. And it has a polished bolt with straight fluting, 3 pressure relief ports here, and it has 2 locking lugs, a plunger ejector, and a M16 style extractor, toolless firing pin removal, and it is a 1-piece bolt. It features a 3-position safety. All the way the rear locks the bolt and you can't fire. One forward you can operate the bolt but not fire. All the way forward you can fire. It rides pretty smooth. Not quite as smooth as, say, a Remington 700 or a Tikka, though. Taking a look at the Ruger American Gen 2, you have a 70-degree bolt throw, a removable bolt knob, and a cocked indicator at the rear, aluminum shroud. Bolt release is a lever on the left side, a little bit nicer than the tab on the Howa, or I should say Vanguard. Polished bolt, very large, heavy bolt, though. And then you have 3 lugs, a little claw extractor built into that lug there, a plunger ejector, and it rides smooth in the receiver, but it has kind of a noticeable secondary catch on the bolt lift, and it definitely is more clunky and heavy feeling than the Vanguard. The trigger on the Vanguard is essentially a Howa hacked 2-stage trigger. It's a curved trigger blade with grooves going down it vertically. Very nice. It's not really, I mean, you can adjust it. You have to remove some epoxy to do so. I wouldn't say it's truly user adjustable, whereas the Ruger is easily user adjustable. And the weight on the Vanguard comes in right at about 3 pounds, and the weight on this Ruger, this is not adjusted, has a center blade curved trigger blade, it's a single stage trigger though, is, well, right at 3 pounds. So there is some noticeable creep though on the Ruger American trigger, and on the Weatherby trigger, first stage, maybe a 1/4 pound, hit that wall. No perceivable creep, a little bit of over travel. I prefer this trigger to some degree over the Ruger on its feel, but I like the Ruger as far as being adjustable, so give and take. Also, I think that Weatherby, when they get these barreled actions from Howa and the triggers, I think they might do a little extra QC on their triggers because they tend to be adjusted just slightly better, I feel like, than the one straight branded Howa. Let's take a look at the bottom metal. The Ruger American has a trigger guard that is polymer and part of the stock. That's bad because if you break the trigger guard, you got to replace the stock basically. Separate piece of polymer for the mag well, and a little lever sits here to release the mag. Can take AICS mags, at least in some versions. The lever is kind of small and hard to operate. I don't prefer that release. Also, you have to remove it to get to the rear action screw to remove the stock or to tighten it or loosen the action screw, which definitely not good design at all. Apart from that though, the magazine system does work except for when it's loaded, and if the bolt's forward, it's very difficult to seat the magazine. You pretty much have to have it open to seat the magazine. That's another negative, I would say. On the Vanguards, as far as I know, almost all of them, if not all of them, use a real metal bottom metal and trigger guard, all one piece, and then they have a floor plate design with an internal magazine. So I really like that. I understand that there's pros and cons to both. For hunting, I like the floor plate design and the real bottom metal. You can just access that front and rear action screw without removing anything, and you don't have to worry about anything breaking there. It works quite well. You can get a higher capacity with the Ruger American as far as rounds are concerned. Coming forward to the receiver, the Ruger American has a Cerakoted receiver, some milling on the side to reduce weight, has grooves cut in it, in the front and back that sit, and then there's metal V-blocks that sit into those grooves, goes all the way through the stock. Really nice bedding system, super good for accuracy, and a great foundation with that metal V-block bedding. On the Howa, also really nice, robust bedding system. This is an all one-piece receiver, and the front recoil lug is one piece with the receiver. It's not a separate piece like a Remington 700. It's integral, and the front action screw goes through it. I would probably prefer the Howa or Vanguard bedding system over almost any other bedding system, including the Ruger American, because it's so robust, so solid, so beefy, and it's one piece. And I do believe the Vanguard synthetic is pillar bedded. Then coming forward on the Ruger American, a Cerakoted spiral fluted barrel and radial muzzle brake that is Cerakoted as well. And then you have a front sling swivel stud on both the synthetic Vanguard and on the Ruger American. Pretty unremarkable. The Ruger American is free floated. The Weatherby synthetic is actually not free floated. It has a contact point at the front. They claim it's more accurate and better that way. I think that's silly marketing and nonsense. And I think that the front forend of the synthetic Vanguard is super flopsy, flexible, and it's just a terrible stock. I mean, overall, the Vanguard synthetic stock is definitely not even as good as the Ruger American stock, except for it features a metal bottom metal and not an integral polymer trigger guard like the Ruger American. So it's kind of a wash on that. The Ruger American comes in at 6.2 pounds and features a 20-inch barrel in the standard. You can't get a ranch version or a Predator version, but we're not going to go into that today. The Weatherby Vanguard comes in a couple different versions as well, but the normal version features a 24-inch barrel and comes in at 7.5 pounds, so quite a bit heavier. The overall length of the Weatherby is 44 inches. The overall length of the Ruger American is 41.25 inches. The Vanguard is blued receiver, blued barrel, and it's not threaded, something to note, whereas the Ruger Americans all come threaded. The Ruger American also does feature a 3-position safety as well, but it's a tang safety, so a little bit different than the Howa, which is kind of just like almost like a stamped piece of metal off to the right side, which is kind of interesting. It doesn't really feel premium though. The Ruger American doesn't have a toolless, easy to remove firing pin design like the Howa or the Weatherby Vanguard though. And it is important to note that some of the Weatherby Vanguards do come with a floated barrel or free floated barrel. This one does. Accuracy is similar. I think that they might be slightly more consistently accurate than a Ruger American, but maybe not. All right, we're gonna try one more group with this. This is a Hornady custom ammunition in this 308 and this Ruger American. We're gonna try one group, second target from the left, upper left circle. I think I flinched on that last one. It likes that 150 SSTs, I believe. Probably right at 3/4 MOA, maybe 1 MOA. So Ruger American best group of the day, only shot a couple groups. And this was the Hornady custom 308 150 SST bullets. About 0.606. About a 0.606 group out of the Ruger American the first day, so not bad with factory Hornady SST 150 custom factory loads. 100-yard grouping here. Lots of wind today, lots of wind. Scope looks excellent though. Third target from the right, center red circle. Whew. Huge grouping there. Really disappointed in that. This ammunition might be factory seconds here. Let's try that one more time. The barrel is hot. Okay, upper right circle, third target from the right. About 1.5 inch group, and that was good shooting on my part, I felt like. All right, so now let's go over some of the pros and cons. Let's start with the Ruger American. Some pros here. It's got a Cerakoted receiver, Cerakoted barrel, spiral fluted barrel. It comes threaded 5/8 by 24. Comes with a muzzle brake. Has a 3-position safety. They both do though. Has a nice soft butt pad. Adjustable length of pull, nice large comb on this, recessed sling swivel stud in the rear, can take a detachable magazine, AICS compatible, adjustable trigger, comes with a Picatinny scope base. Rail has a more rigid forend on the stock there in a free floated barrel, and it has a 70-degree bolt throw. I'd say that's probably the pros. Now let's go over the pros of the Weatherby Vanguard. It features a real metal bottom metal. It features a real metal trigger guard, features a one-piece bolt that is very robust and strong, features a 3-position safety, features a toolless firing pin removal. That's very easy to operate. It has integral recoil lug part of the receiver. I feel like that's a little bit better receiver design overall in that regard. Now let's go over the cons of the Ruger American. Features a integral polymer trigger guard. That's one part with the stock, so if that breaks, you have to replace the stock. Not a great magazine release lever, and you have to remove that to get to the rear action screw. This whole system is just terrible. Plus, you pretty much have the bolt removed to be able to seat the magazine. That's not acceptable in my opinion. Bolt's a little bit louder, clunkier, and heavier, it seems like, to operate. And the receiver uses V-block bedding instead of an integral recoil lug. The Vanguard cons: it's heavier, it's blued instead of Cerakoted, it's not threaded, it's not spiral fluted, and it doesn't come with a muzzle brake. Safety is not quite as nice, neither is bolt release and how it feels. And trigger's not as easy to adjust from a user perspective. I guess it's got a 90-degree throw. As far as operation, they both work fine. It doesn't come with the integral scope base. If it was me between the Ruger American Gen 2 and the Vanguard synthetic, which they both come in at right around the same price, we're doing this against the synthetic, and knowing that stock, I don't currently have one unfortunately with me, I would definitely say that I would probably, I mean they're both very good, but I'd probably pick the Ruger American Gen 2, which a lot of you probably be surprised because I'm a diehard Howa fan and it's essentially a Howa, but I feel like the stock on the Vanguard synthetic is just terrible. Now, if it was against the Ruger American Gen 1, 100% I would have said Vanguard, but they've made a lot of improvements on the Gen 2 that I think are worth noting. So if it was up to me, I'd get the Ruger American Gen 2 over the Weatherby Vanguard synthetic. Hope you enjoyed this comparison, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks for watching Bullets for Bucks. Check out this next video and subscribe.